My name is Margaret Wilson. I'm 38 years old. Every time I think of my mother's face, my chest fills with warmth. Elizabeth was gifted in the kitchen. Her kitchen was always filled with wonderful aromas. Butter, cinnamon, rosemary. I'd stand beside her, watching her hands as she chopped vegetables. Mother smiled. Margaret, cooking isn't just about making food. You put love into it. Yes, Mama. Someday, you'll make someone happy with these recipes. Mother's hand covered mine. It was warm. But my sister Caroline was different. Caroline was 3 years younger. She always wore a sullen expression. One day, Mother was showing me her recipe notebook. Caroline came into the kitchen. Margaret again? I'll teach you too, sweetheart. I don't want to. Cooking is a waste of time. Caroline left. The door slammed hard. Mother let out a small sigh. She'll understand someday. But that someday never came. 5 years ago, Mother passed away. A hospital bed. White sheets. Mother's hand had grown cold. Margaret. Yes, Mama. I'm right here. The recipes, keep them safe. I will. I promise. Mother smiled. It was her last smile. Then she closed her eyes. I held Mother's hand tight. The tears wouldn't stop. Father Joseph couldn't bear Mother's death. Every day, he'd stare at her photograph. He wouldn't eat anything. Wouldn't talk to anyone. 3 months later, Father passed away too. The doctor said his heart had broken from grief. A week after our parents' funeral, I was called to the lawyer's office. Caroline and I sat facing each other. The lawyer opened the will. The last will and testament of Joseph Wilson. I folded my hands. Caroline was looking at her nails. But what happened next was unexpected. Caroline stood up. Actually, I need to discuss Father's will. The lawyer frowned. Discuss? Caroline pulled out some documents. Father's judgment had declined in his final years. I have the legal right to manage the estate. What are you talking about? I stood up. My heart was pounding. Caroline, that's... Margaret, you don't know. Father told me he was leaving everything to me. That's a lie. The lawyer raised his hand. Please, calm down. But Caroline had already prepared. She'd hired lawyers, gathered documents, prepared for a court battle. 6 months later, the verdict came down. Caroline got 85% of the estate. All I had left was Mother's recipe notebook and a small savings account. Outside the courthouse, Caroline approached me. It's not personal, Margaret. It's business. She walked away. The sound of her heels faded into the distance. I clutched Mother's recipe notebook. This is all I have. But I felt like I heard Mother's voice. Cooking is about putting in love. Someday, you'll make someone happy with these recipes. I took a deep breath. Yes, Mama. You were right. I didn't quit the bank. I worked from morning till night. At night, I made Mother's recipes in my small apartment kitchen. I served them to friends. I gave them to neighbors. Delicious. Where did you buy this pie? I made it. Really? You should open a restaurant. Those words planted a seed. A year later, I bought the rights to a small cafe. For 5 years, I worked without rest. And now, I owned 3 restaurants. Mother's recipes had made it all possible. My phone rang. A message appeared. It was from Caroline. The first in 5 years. Long time, Margaret. Want to meet at Silver Moon this weekend? My treat. I stared at the screen. Silver moon. My restaurant. I smiled. Of course, Caroline. Looking forward to it. And I sent my reply. Saturday night at 7 p.m. I stood at the entrance to Silver Moon. I looked at my reflection in the glass door. A simple black dress. Mother's heirloom pearl necklace. I took a deep breath. I opened the door. Soft light from the chandelier poured down. Piano music was playing. White linen tablecloths covered the tables. My restaurant. The result of 5 years of hard work. Emily, the hostess, saw me and smiled. Ms. Wilson. Emily, I'm here as a guest tonight. My sister is waiting. Of course. That table over there. I looked where Emily was pointing. Caroline was sitting there. 5 years. She had changed. A red silk dress. Diamond earrings. Perfect makeup. I walked toward the table. The sound of my heels echoed on the floor. Caroline looked up. Margaret. Caroline. I sat down in the chair. She looked me up and down. I felt that gaze. Evaluating me. Nice dress. Where'd you get it? An outlet? I smiled. Nordstrom. I see. Caroline opened the wine list. A bottle of Chateau Margaux, 2015. The waiter bowed his head. Of course. I looked at the menu. Dishes based on mother's recipes lined the pages. So, Margaret. How have you been? Working. Still at that bank? No. I quit. Caroline's eyes lit up. Oh. It must be hard, looking for work. I said nothing. The waiter brought the wine. Caroline tilted her glass. Took a sip. Perfect. She looked at me. You know, Margaret, I've been very successful. Have you? Yes. I became an executive at an investment firm. That's wonderful. Caroline swirled her wine glass. 6-figure salary. In dollars. I smiled. Good for you. She leaned forward. I bought a house in Cherry Creek. 5 bedrooms. With a pool. How nice. Caroline sipped her wine. Where are you living? An apartment. I see. She smirked. Still just an employee? I'm an executive. I smiled quietly. I reached for my glass. Took a sip of water. Caroline continued. Thanks to our parents' inheritance, I was able to invest in all sorts of things. Real estate, stocks, businesses. I see. If you'd gotten some too, you wouldn't be living like this. I placed my napkin on my lap. Life is interesting, Caroline. She laughed. Interesting? You're always so optimistic. The waiter approached. A young man. James. I'd hired him 3 years ago. He stood beside me. Excuse me. Caroline looked up. What? The owner is checking on your table. Caroline frowned. The owner? Who? James looked at me. Smiled faintly. Caroline looked around. Where's the owner? I placed my napkin on the table. I stood up slowly. I looked down at Caroline. And smiled. Welcome to my restaurant. What? Caroline's face froze. I told you. Her mouth hung open, unable to move. You're joking. I'm not joking. The waiters around us bowed to me. Good evening, Ms. Wilson. Good evening, Ms. Wilson. Good evening. I smiled at them. Caroline looked around. Everyone was showing me respect. This is. I sat back down. 5 years ago, you got the inheritance. All I had left was Mother's recipe notebook. Caroline stared at me. Speechless. I started with a small cafe. With Mother's recipes. I woke up at 5 a.m. and worked until 11 p.m. Every day. For 2 years. But the cafe became popular. Customers lined up. And I used my banking experience to manage the finances. Invested. Expanded. Caroline's hands were trembling. 3 years ago, I bought this silver moon. And now, I run 3 restaurants. You, the owner. Yes. And tonight's dinner is on me. Caroline's face went pale. The wine glass nearly slipped from her hand. I kept smiling. Mother always said that money is important, but real wealth is knowledge and passion. You chose the inheritance. I chose Mother's teachings. Caroline tried to speak. But no words came out. James brought a new wine glass. From the owner. A special vintage. He placed the glass in front of me. Thank you, James. I lifted the glass. Cheers, Caroline. To your success. Caroline couldn't move. Her face was completely white. I took a sip of wine. It tasted perfect. I felt like Mother was smiling. Caroline remained frozen in her chair. Her hand holding the glass was shaking. I calmly drank my wine. At the tables around us, customers were chatting happily. Laughter. The sound of glasses clinking. Only Caroline was silent. She finally opened her mouth. This is a joke, right? I shook my head. It's not a joke. But, you were just an employee. Past tense is correct. I returned my napkin to my lap. Chef Marco came out of the kitchen. He wore a white chef's coat. He saw me and smiled. Ms. Wilson, shall I bring tonight's special menu? Yes, please. Marco bowed and returned to the kitchen. Caroline watched this. Her eyes were wide open. You're really, truly the owner. I know it's hard to believe. How? Where did the money come from? I took a deep breath. Should I tell you the real story? Caroline listened silently. 5 years ago, you got 85% of the inheritance. All I had left was $12,000 in savings and Mother's recipe notebook. Caroline lowered her gaze. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I just decided I would succeed on my own. How? I kept working at the bank. I saved $2,000 every month. Nights and weekends, I volunteered cooking at a friend's cafe. Using Mother's recipes. The waiter brought the appetizer. Roasted beet salad. With goat cheese and balsamic vinegar. Mother's recipe. I picked up my fork. Customers loved my cooking. Word spread. A friend said, Margaret, you should open a restaurant. Caroline didn't touch her salad. 2 years later, I'd saved $48,000. And I found a small cafe. The owner wanted to retire. I bought it with a bank loan and my savings. That easily? It wasn't easy. I took a bite of beets. Sweet, with an earthy aroma. The first year was hell. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. to prep. During the day, I'd serve customers. At night, clean up and bookkeeping. 4 hours of sleep. Caroline looked at me. For the first time, I saw something different in her eyes. But I didn't give up. Mother's recipes were perfect. Customers increased every day. After 6 months, the local newspaper did a feature. Called it a hidden gem. I lifted my glass. Drank some water. Lines started forming. Reservations filled up 2 weeks in advance. And I used my banking experience. Managed the finances, reinvested the profits. Caroline finally spoke. So, this place? 3 years ago, Silver Moon went up for sale. The owner was sick. I came to see it and fell in love at first sight. I looked around. The chandelier. Marble floors. The Denver night view from the windows. It was perfect. But the money? A bank loan. Using my first cafe as collateral. And I found investors. They believed in my business plan. Amazing. I looked at Caroline. For the first time, she understood that the sister she'd thought was beneath her was far above. And you know, Caroline. Now I run 3 restaurants. Silver Moon, Little Cafe, and Mother's Kitchen. Mother's name. Elizabeth. Tears welled up in Caroline's eyes. But I didn't stop. Annual revenue is $2.5 million. 67 employees. And next year, I'm opening a 4th restaurant. Caroline covered her face. The inheritance was legally mine. Legally, yes. But morally? I said nothing. Caroline looked up. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. Margaret, I raised my hand. You don't need to apologize. But you made your choice. I made mine. That's all. Caroline clenched her fists. But you're looking down on me. I'm not looking down on you. That's a lie. You're gloating right now. I shook my head. I'm not gloating. I'm just telling the truth. Caroline stood up. The chair nearly fell backward. The tables around us grew quiet. Customers were watching. This is humiliating. You called me here to embarrass me. No. Then what? I said quietly. You said you wanted to meet. So I met with you. Caroline's face turned red. I'm successful. I'm an executive. I make 6 figures. I smiled. That's wonderful. Truly. But you. I'm what? Caroline was at a loss for words. She couldn't say anything. The truth weighed heavily. I stood up. I looked Caroline in the eye. Money is important, Caroline. But you know, the real wealth Mother left me wasn't money. What was it, then? Cooking wisdom. Passion. Love. And the joy of making people happy. Caroline laughed. It was a bitter laugh. How noble. It's not nobility. It's the truth. She grabbed her handbag. I'm leaving. What about dinner? I don't want it. I nodded. All right. Caroline tried to walk past me. I touched her arm. Caroline. What? I looked into her eyes. You can always come back. You're welcome here, anytime. Caroline shook off my hand. I don't need your pity. She started walking. The sound of her heels echoed on the floor. Toward the exit. Customers were watching. The door opened. Caroline turned around. One last time, she looked at me. In her eyes were anger, shame, and something else. Maybe regret. And the door closed. She was gone. I exhaled deeply. James approached. Are you all right, Miss Wilson? Yes. I'm fine. Your meal. Could you bring it to my office? I'd like to eat alone. Of course. I headed to my office on the second floor. I climbed the stairs. Opened the door. On the wall hung a photograph of Mother. Mother was smiling. I sat down in my chair. On the desk was Mother's recipe notebook. I picked it up. Turned the pages. Mother's handwriting. Ink stains. I closed my eyes. Mama, I did it. I succeeded with your recipes. Outside the window, the city of Denver sparkled. But my heart felt a little heavy. Not with the joy of victory, but with sadness for a lost sisterly bond. 3 weeks passed. Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. Silver Moon was quiet. Lunch service was over, still too early to prepare for dinner. I was in my office looking at paperwork. Next month's new menu. Food orders. Staff shifts. There was a knock. Yes? James stuck his head in. Ms. Wilson, you have a visitor. I don't have any reservations scheduled. No reservation. But, she wants to see you. Who? James hesitated. Your sister. My hand stopped. I put down my pen. All right. Bring her here. Are you sure? Yes. James bowed and left. I took a deep breath. My heart was beating a little faster. What does she want? Has she come to yell at me again? The door opened. Caroline came in. But she was different from 3 weeks ago. Her makeup was light. Her clothes were simple, black pants and a blouse. And she was holding a white envelope. Hello, Margaret. Caroline. She stood still, staring at the envelope. Sit down. I pointed to the chair across from me. Caroline slowly sat down. Silence fell. Only the clock's second hand could be heard. Tick, tick, tick. Caroline opened her mouth. Thank you for seeing me. Wait, that's not right. This is your office. I smiled. Would you like something to drink? No. I poured water into a glass. Placed it in front of her. Thank you. Caroline placed the envelope on the table. This is for you. What is it? A letter. I'd like you to read it. Now? Later is fine too. But, preferably now. I picked up the envelope. Opened it. There were 2 sheets of paper inside. Caroline's handwriting. I began to read. Dear Margaret. It took me 3 weeks to write this letter. I wrote it and tore it up many times. But I can't run away anymore. I have to tell you the truth. I looked up. Caroline was looking out the window. I continued reading. That night, after I left Silver Moon, I cried. In my car, alone. I was ashamed. I was angry. But what I felt most strongly was regret. I said I was an executive at an investment firm. That wasn't a lie. But I didn't tell you everything. I stopped reading. Caroline, this is. Keep reading. Please. 2 weeks ago, I was fired. The company's investments failed. $3.2 million in losses. It was my responsibility. And I lost most of our parents' inheritance too. Real estate investments. Stocks. Everything. All I have left is the house and a little savings. I'll have to sell the house next month too. I caught my breath. I looked at Caroline. Her eyes were closed. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. I read the last page. You were right, Margaret. Money is important, but it's not everything. I got the inheritance and thought I had everything. But really, I had nothing. No wisdom, no passion, no purpose. Just money. And now I've lost that too. You inherited the real wealth from mother. I inherited nothing. I refused to inherit. And now I have nothing left. But I have one request. Please forgive me, Margaret, for hurting you. For taking the inheritance. For looking down on you. For everything, please forgive me. With love. Caroline. I put down the letter. My hands were shaking. Caroline looked up. Her eyes were red. Say something. Anything. I couldn't say anything. My throat was tight. I'm the worst person. I know it. I hurt you, and now that I'm in trouble, I came back. No. Caroline looked at me. What? You came back. That's what matters. But I stood up. Walked around the desk. Stood in front of Caroline. And hugged her. Caroline froze. Margaret. You're my sister, Caroline. No matter what. Caroline started to cry. Out loud. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was crying too. The two of us, for the first time since losing mother, held each other and cried. Time passed. I don't know how long. Finally, we separated. Sat down in chairs. I handed her the tissue box. Thank you. Caroline blew her nose. So, what are you going to do now? I don't know. I need to find a job. But who would hire me? A fired executive. I exhaled deeply. I have an idea. What? Work here? Caroline's eyes widened. What? At Silver Moon. With me. But I can't cook. It doesn't have to be cooking. Then what? Management. Caroline shook her head. I failed at investing. I can't manage. Investing and management are different. You're good with numbers. You can analyze. That's what I need. But I have talent for cooking. But to expand the business, I need your talent. Really? Yes. Caroline looked at me. With eyes mixing doubt and hope. But I hurt you. Why would you help me? I took out Mother's recipe notebook. Placed it on the table. Mother taught me. Cooking is love. And family is love too. Caroline touched the notebook. Her fingers trembled. Mama's notebook. She turned the pages. Mother's handwriting. Recipes. Notes. Tears overflowed again. I don't deserve to see this. You earned that right. How? Start from zero. Like I did. Caroline looked at me. You're serious? I'm serious. But I have conditions. What? Learn humility. Work hard. And value people, not money. Caroline nodded. I can do it. No, I will do it. I smiled. Then come tomorrow. Tomorrow? The sooner the better, right? Caroline laughed. For the first time, it was a real smile. Thank you, Margaret. I held her hand. Let's do this together. Yes. We looked at Mother's recipe notebook. On the first page, Mother's words were written. Cooking is love. Family is love. Never forget. Caroline read it aloud. Never forget. We had forgotten. But now, we remembered. Outside the window, the sun was beginning to set. Orange light filled the room. A new beginning. A new story for sisters. I took a deep breath. Mama, are you watching? We're starting over. Caroline looked at me. Together? Yes. Together. We smiled at each other. Lost time won't come back. But we have the time ahead of us. That was enough. 1 year later. Thanksgiving morning. Silver Moon's kitchen was bustling with activity. Turkey was roasting in the oven. Steam rose from the mashed potatoes. The sweet aroma of cranberry sauce. I had Mother's recipe notebook open. The pumpkin pie page. Caroline stood beside me. Wearing an apron, her face serious. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, right? Yes. And mix it with love. Caroline laughed. Mama always said that. I smiled. You remember? I've been remembering a lot lately. We rolled out the pie dough together. This past year, everything had changed. Caroline kept her promise. She showed up at 7 a.m. every morning. Learned accounting. Learned inventory management. Scheduled staff shifts. And learned humility. She started with dishwashing. Without complaining. After 3 months, I entrusted her with the books. After 6 months, I made her assistant manager. And now, she was my true partner. Margaret, did you see the numbers? What numbers? Last month's revenue. It's an all-time high. I hugged her. That's thanks to you. Thanks to both of us. The doorbell rang. James came in. Ms. Wilson, your guests have arrived. Thank you, James. I'll be right there. Caroline and I took off our aprons. We headed to the dining room. At the large table, 20 people were seated. Staff members. Marco, James, Emily. Everyone who worked in the kitchen. And special guests. 5 culinary school scholarship recipients. Young faces. Eyes full of hope. 6 months ago, we established a scholarship foundation. The Elizabeth and Joseph Wilson Memorial Foundation. To support young people who wanted to learn cooking. Named after our parents. I stood up. Everyone, thank you for coming today. Applause broke out. Thanksgiving is a day to share with family. And today, all of you are my family. Caroline was nodding beside me. This past year, a lot has happened. Challenges, failures. But what matters most is that we're together. I looked at Caroline. Especially that we've recovered what was lost. Caroline stood up. Let me say something too. Of course. A year ago, I lost everything. Money, my job, my pride. But my sister reached out her hand. Gave me a chance. Her voice shook. And now I have real wealth. Family. Purpose. And love. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Thank you, Margaret. For reminding me about family. I was crying too. We hugged each other. Applause rang out. The meal began. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy. All Mother's recipes. Laughter overflowed. Conversations flowed. The sound of glasses clinking. One of the scholarship recipients, a young woman, approached me. Ms. Wilson, thank you so much. Without this scholarship, I couldn't have gone to culinary school. Your passion is everything. Work hard. I'll definitely become a great chef. I'm looking forward to it. After the meal, it was time for dessert. Caroline and I returned to the kitchen. We took out the pumpkin pie. Perfect golden brown. Just like Mother's recipe. Caroline took a deep breath. Mama, are you watching? We did it. I placed my hand on her shoulder. She's watching. Absolutely. We cut the pie into slices. Placed each slice on a plate. Then carried them to the dining room. Everyone grew quiet. I placed the first slice in front of Mother's photograph. It hung on the wall. Mother was smiling. Mama, this is for you. It all started with you. Caroline came beside me. Thank you for watching over us. We clasped our hands together. Everyone else clasped their hands too. We give thanks. And then everyone ate the pie. Sweet, spiced, perfect. It tasted like Mother. That night, after everyone had gone home, Caroline and I sat in the quiet restaurant. I poured wine into glasses. Cheers. To what? Caroline smiled. To new beginnings. I lifted my glass. And to recovering lost time. The glasses clinked. We drank our wine. So, what's the plan for next year? Caroline looked at me. The fourth restaurant. Remember? Of course. I took out Mother's recipe notebook. Open to the last page. Written in Mother's handwriting. Someday, my dream restaurant. Elizabeth's garden. Caroline gasped. Mama's dream. Yes. We're going to make it happen. Together? Together. Caroline wiped her tears. Mama, wait for us. We'll make your dream come true. We looked at Mother's photograph. Mother was smiling. Gently, warmly. Outside the window, stars were shining. The city of Denver slept quietly. But our hearts were filled with hope. Family isn't just blood. It's made with love. It's nurtured with forgiveness. And it's completed by walking together. Caroline and I finally understood. The real legacy Mother left us. It wasn't the recipes. It wasn't money. It was love. Unconditional love for family. And now, we're passing it to the next generation. I took a deep breath. Ready? Caroline nodded. Anytime. Then tomorrow we'll start preparing for the new restaurant. Elizabeth's Garden. A restaurant that Mama would be proud of. Yes. Together. We held hands. As sisters. As partners. As family. And we began walking toward a new future. With Mother's love.